welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are all having an amazing day. It's Thursday, May 11th, and today is National Foam Rolling Day. National Eat What You Want Day, I guess, because America isn't fat enough. And National Twilight Zone Day, because, of course, in Joe Biden's America, we're living under the Twilight Zone. But thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can use that fancy little QR code right there in the top-hand corner of your screen to find out where we live on the internet. And we're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. If you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. And coming up first, that's right, we have the dope dad himself. That's right, the Baby Yoda smuggler. That's right. Where did he get that Baby Yoda from? Before he was looking like he was in the Congo. Now he's looking like he's on the battleship. That's right, with little Baby Yoda. Oh, boy, here we go. That's right. It's the dope dad himself who now is taking care of Baby Yoda, Rico Lamitte.
Yeah.
I got muted.
There you go.
You guys hear me?
We hear you fine.
I was muted by the host there. You guys trying to censor me over here.
Oh, God. You need to censor yourself.
Never be censored, my brother.
Yeah,
ever.
Exactly.
So for my story, I'm going over to Europe. All right, so the progressive Canadian and American influence to legalize and decriminalize cannabis continues to spread across the European continent. It's led to increasing numbers of protests and calls for citizens seeking the same for their nations as well. The pressures led to formal government proposals from Germany and the Netherlands to move forward with legislation. And just last week, the Czech Republic's National Drug Coordinator said that cannabis should be treated the same as tobacco and alcohol on his watch. However, reality is that these movements are all facing fierce pushback from the European Union itself, very similar to the States due to the EU's longstanding conservative views. Listening in on European arguments for and against legalization will find you tuned into a song all too familiar to American ears. Advocates say that it's about improving public health, increasing tax revenue, and reducing taboos. Critics argue that legalization will increase crime rates, addiction, and other various health risks too. Per the article, Czech Republic is among half a dozen European countries that have in recent months announced plans to legalize under new reforms. Prague said last year it was drafting a bill to legalize the drug for adult use, marking the country's most dramatic step forward in personal possession since personal possession was permitted in 2010. All this after Germany last October published proposals to greenlight consumption and sales, a plan that, if passed, would make it the world's largest regulated national cannabis market. Now all eyes are on Netherlands, inching its way towards legalizing cultivation. Luxembourg passed a law allowing residents to grow for personal use. Malta greenlit private cannabis clubs, and even Switzerland, a non-EU country, approved a trial measure for sale and consumption in Zurich. But at the highest levels, support remains scarce, with international drug treaties and public health concerns blocking production of even a single pro-cannabis bill in the EU. The region's conservative nature has controlled the group of countries' slow approach to adult use, with many leaders fearing the legalization in one state could lead to a domino effect for neighboring countries in opposition. The European Commission, the EU's executive arm, declined to comment on CNBC on specific discussions, but said in an email statement through a spokesperson that it was following developments closely. Does that sound familiar? Per the article, EU regulation requires member states to ensure the sale of illicit drugs, including cannabis, as punishable by effective, proportionate, and dissuasive criminal penalties. But it does not restrict personal consumption. Commercial legalization is also incompatible with international treaties, including the UN's 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs, though countries like Canada and Uruguay have not faced any consequences for the moves to legalize. The EU's resistance is what was behind Germany's watering down of its original wide-ranging legalization plans last month, with Health Minister Karl Lauterbach noting his initial proposal failed and the revision would have to go in another direction. An updated version now only allows for private consumption and distribution through nonprofit groups only, while also outlining the potential for pilot project to test the sale of the drug in a small group of licensed shops. A poll from the London-based Hanway Associates last year revealed 55% of people across 8 European countries said that they were in favor of legalization. While it's not yet at American levels of support, the momentum is picking up. My question is this for everybody. Will the EU's all too familiar disconnect between the will of the people and lawmakers in power lead them into the same snail's pace, piecemeal, states' rights style progression that we've unfortunately been experiencing here in America? Or will they eventually and actually do the right thing? I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News.
I mean, the EU is just moving at a snail's pace, and they are not getting it together out there. I mean, the best thing that they have going on in the entire EU is the fact that if you are a medical patient, then your medical recommendation is valid in any European Union country. But I think that's like the best thing they have going.
Yeah. It's a very confusing situation out there. We've got some countries that are very excited about legalizing, and then we've got others that are just very archaic about it. Spain is really behind the times in a lot of ways, whereas, Germany is trying to figure out their market as quickly as possible, but they've only allowed import up until this point.
Right.
And Canadian imports at that, like the worst.
Well, I think Colombian too. They're taking Colombia weed as well.
And I'm not sure.
I'm pretty confident that they are, because Colombia, yeah, I'm pretty confident that that's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything with this legislative arm. Then they are strong arming the nation states into following their rules. So I mean, it sounds just like the federal government pushing back on the states' rights here. The states trying to move forward, and you're just going to have different countries with different laws, and I don't know how that's going to work, because they have free trade, right? Like free trade within the EU, all the EU nations. How are you going to have different laws if it's not the same?
Even just the way you experience coming into the countries is very unique. When I went over to the EU earlier this year, I flew in through Germany and then passed into Spain. And I literally just hopped off the plane, swiped my passport on the little turnstile, didn't even make eye contact with someone from Germany, and walked right into the airport and went about my business. Whereas other folks got off their flight from the United States in, say, France, and their entire bags and suitcases and everything were rifled through.
Right.
And it's just really interesting. These two countries are I think 2 hours at most apart, like a train ride or something. Yeah. And the difference in the way that they are looking at this is just crazy. It's so different. And it's the same thing. People say the same thing about the United States. From one state to the next, we have such ridiculously different ways of approaching things, and everybody is overcomplicating the entire system. It's an agricultural good, and it's not going to kill you if you have too much.
It's definitely not going to kill you, and contrary to some people's testimony already today, a little banking here.
Yeah, and it definitely won't lead to what do you call it? GMO weed definitely won't lead to mass shootings either. But
that's and there's that.
Yep. That is so true. I mean, if you're in Europe, okay, I mean, just go to Amsterdam or go to Spain. I mean, why even waste the time with dealing with all these different laws within these countries? I mean, it's so easy to just hop on the little Aerostar train and hop from country to country to get whatever you need. Just saying.
Jason, it is not just so easy. I'm like not going to drive to San Francisco to go buy a nug of weed. Like, this is not easy.
It's pretty easy. I've done it. If I've done it and I think it's easy, it's pretty easy. The average person doesn't have disabilities and doesn't have mobility challenges and whatnot. And I'm saying it was easy enough for me to do it. It's easy enough for them to do it.
But why even go to such extremes? I mean, damn, we are free people and we're okay with just living under dictatorships all across the world, wherever it may be. I mean, damn.
I don't live in the EU, Nickolas.
What'd you say?
That's why I don't live in the EU.
But what's her name? Manndie? She made a good point. Traveling in the U.S. is no different. If I go to Texas as a black man, I can't carry weed into the state, but I can carry a gun. Then if I go even further to Florida, I can have the damn gun, but I can't have no damn weed. And I mean, it's just backwards.
There's not a bullet train, though, Nick, to get you to Texas. There's not a bullet train to get you to Texas.
But his actual bullets will get you into Texas, though.
Well, bullets are you can get bullets into Texas, yes, pretty easily.
You can get bullets in California.
You can get bigger bullets in Texas than California. Bigger guns, better guns.
But if it is all about agriculture and about a cash crop and building an economy, then the focus should be on that. So the EU is just another dictatorship group bullying the city-states.
That's true.
Or nation states. Yeah.
They are actually nations. They're countries being told what to do by a small group of other countries. So, yeah, if that isn't the very definition of a dictatorship, I don't know what is.
I'm not gonna take that bait. Yeah. We can go. We can go down that rabbit hole, but we shall not. We have any more comments on that one?
We're gonna go. Be right back.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, you know what time it is? That's right. It's Tuesday over here at Green Street, and we got Smoky Vanilla with us in the building. So that's right. It is time to stretch and smoke. We just got done smoking. Now we're gonna stretch it out, and then we're gonna smoke again.
Let's go. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology and bodywork massage and assisted stretching. You gotta come check it out, baby. Check me out on IG at Smoky Vanilla 1 Stretch and Smoke, Twitter Smoky Vanilla, Social Club Stretch and Smoke. We're also on Sports Recovery by Dan and Jam.
If you want to feel as good as I look, then make sure that you get a stretch and smoke in with Smoky Vanilla.
Yeet! I swear we got to get that commercial running on at least public access, like something else, because that thing's gonna be up for an award.
It should be.
It's gonna be.
My favorite thing on TV these days right now.
It definitely will be, but y'all know who it is up next. He's the industry's longest continuously operating retailer and champion of smoking the greatest weed in the world. And you know what? He's a big fan of that guy that was on TV last night, but I'm not even going to talk about that because Gretchen size all around. Y'all know who it is. Jason Beck.
It was supposed to be the greatest hour and a half on television that CNN has seen in 3 years, but instead they shortened it down to 1 hour because he was winning so much. But nonetheless, I'm going to digress because I actually have a weed story for you guys today, and we're going to skip off of that because just makes you guys sad. But today, Connecticut lawmakers move to impose restrictions on the amount of THC in marijuana products. See, this goes exactly to what you're talking about, Nick. After discovering cannabis products are being sold in convenience and CBD stores across Connecticut with higher levels of THC than regulated dispensaries, legislators moved Tuesday to impose new restrictions on the amount of marijuana's main intoxicating component in these products. The bipartisan legislation, which cleared the state house on a nearly unanimous vote, marks the first major update of the state's fleeting adult use marijuana program that kicked off back in January. And quote, all we're trying to do is make sure that any products that are sold with a significant amount of THC in Connecticut are sold under our regulated marketplace through the dispensaries. Where there's labeling requirements, there's per package requirements, there's per container requirements, said Representative Mike D. Agostino, Democrat from Hamden, who held out a handful of large, colorful THC gummies that were being sold legally at an unregulated store due to a loophole in federal law concerning CBD stores. The bill, which now awaits a vote in the Senate, imposes new THC limits for products sold in these stores, including for tinctures, oils, lotions, and edibles. The legislation also pulls chemically created high THC products off the shelves of non-regulated stores, an issue other states have been grappling with as well. Representative David Rudigliano, Republican from Trumbull, who originally opposed Connecticut's marijuana legalization law, said he supports these new changes and believes they will help address public safety concerns. In a quote, I've heard from constituents concerned about the poisoning of young children that really happens from gas stations to other outlets that are selling things they really shouldn't sell, said the lawmaker who helped to craft the bill. These things, in my opinion, should really be limited to someone that has a license to sell and distribute marijuana and not appear in your local gas station. Well, it sounds to me like Connecticut is trying to regulate on Delta 8 and not necessarily general overall THC products, but actually all of your gas station, supermarket, and drugstore CBD snake oil products that are sold throughout the country. What do you guys think? This is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. What is the word with this?
I mean, it's
you just shake your head.
It's completely
What's
necessary.
That?
I mean, he's right. It need to be sold in a regulated place, not at a local gas station. And when they were implying about the synthetic things, do you think that was like what was that?
I think they're referring to Delta 8 as a synthetic cannabinoid would be my guess, because of the process involved in it and the fact that it doesn't naturally occur like that. So that would be my guess. But I mean, you can lump in like a lot of those HHC, the THCO, a lot of those different things, and all of those products all would fall under this. And these lawmakers out there in Connecticut are just trying to clean up their state and stop all this snake oil salesmanship that's happening throughout their economy.
I mean, somebody needs to. Yeah, somebody needs to. This is what all of us legally operating operators are asking for.
Yeah.
You guys are losing mad cool points right now. You know this is going to be used.
I don't know what is going on.
I got to
all of a sudden the ocean breeze came in.
They're trying to silence the voice of Black liberty.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But no, man, I mean, this is going to be used as another gateway for them to control the amount of THC across the board. Who's going to dictate that? These clueless politicians that are coming in to dictate what businesses, free people should be able to do. And I, as a consumer, I want to be able to purchase whatever amount of THC is available in a product, and that should be my choice, not the government's. I never gave up that authority, and I'm sure neither did any of you.
I didn't. I know I didn't, but
I mean, what about the patients that need more than more THC than others.
Well, I mean, who's to say that all these Delta 8 products, whatnot, are a medical grade, because they're not subject to the same type of testing requirements or labeling standards or anything for that matter. So why should these products be able to be portrayed as medical grade types of products when they're not going through the same type of scrutiny that other products that are?
But it's another loophole for businesses. It's an expense that now they have to take on in order to provide a product to consumers. Why should they have to jump through all of these hoops just to put product to market? It's not that way with anything else, broccoli or apples or toothpaste or whatever the case may be. You have a lot of products that are available in stores that are not FDA approved. They don't go through all of that scrutiny, and yet you still have people buy them. Why is that? Because the free market will always prevail. If you want to eliminate the black market activity, then stop doing things like this.
Right. More rules means more loopholes and more bad actors.
And more creation for people that want to create other different types of products that won't be scrutinized in the same types of way.
Delta 10.
Oh boy, Delta 10. Delta 10.
I haven't really seen much Delta 10 anywhere though. Even though we were expecting it to be like the next Delta 8.
Maybe you're just not looking hard enough.
I've seen that a lot, but I haven't seen Delta 10.
Maybe someone scraped the one off and it was actually THC Delta 10 and they just scraped the one off.
You're such a dork. Oh my God.
Yo, I'll scrape the one off. That's what you like to do. And keep this party going?
Yeah, we're gonna keep this party going. Coming up next, that's right. It's Carmen Sacramento. That's right. It's Manndie Tingler, the mother, the executive, and the no bullshit buster that loves to tell you all how living life can be an executive lifestyle along with motherhood and smoking weed and being an edible cup judge for the Emerald Cup 2023 edibles competition. What do you have to tell us today, Manndie?
Good morning, everybody. Today, my article actually doesn't even mention the word cannabis, but I want you to pay close attention. The headline reads, DEA extends prescriptions for controlled drugs via telemedicine. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration on Wednesday issued a 6-month extension for people seeking to fill controlled medication prescriptions via telehealth. That ability had been set to expire along with the ending of the pandemic public health emergency on May 11th. These medications, including those used to treat opioid disorder, are a vital form of care for millions of Americans who have come to rely on safe and effective telemedicine appointments. This is a quote from Dr. Bobby Mukamala, who is the chair of the American Medical Association's Substance Use and Pain Care Task Force. Patients being treated with these medications have challenges securing and traveling to in-person appointments. We are grateful the DEA is approaching this issue with the gravity it deserves, and we look forward to reviewing the details of the policy when they become available, Makama added. Prior to the pandemic, patients had to see a doctor for at least one in-person appointment before being able to access prescriptions for a long list of medications, including stimulant for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, benzoid apatines for anxiety, and medications for opioid use disorder, sleep, or pain. The DEA had offered proposals on March 1st that would allow prescribers to prescribe one 30-day supply of these controlled medications or the opioid use disorder epinephrine without an in-person exam. Then an exam would be required before the next prescription. In the public comment period ending in March, the DEA received 38,000 messages about the proposals. This is according to CNN. The extension is now through November 11th of 2023, which gives the DEA and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services the chance to consider the revisions and all of the public comments. We take those comments seriously and are considering them carefully, the DEA Administrator Ann Milgram said in an agency news release. We recognize the importance of telemedicine in providing Americans with access to needed medications, and we've decided to extend the current flexibilities for 6 months while we work to find a way forward to give Americans that access with appropriate safeguards. The extension also allows that if a patient and practitioner have established a telemedicine relationship on or before November 11th of this year, the same telemedicine flexibilities that governed the relationship to that point are permitted until November 11th of 2024, according to the DEA. Now, guys, this brings to light a couple of questions for me. Lately, I've been asking my colleagues, why aren't we out actively writing bills that require changes to what's being taught to medical students in the states where cannabis is being sold? And also, why aren't we teaching about the endocannabinoid system in general? This last week, my daughter came home from participating in her physical health class and was taught about the cardiovascular system, the circulatory system, the skeletal system, all the systems. I asked her if she was ever taught about the endocannabinoid system. She said, no. I said, please go back to your teacher and tell her that she forgot something. And so here we are. Yes, I was like poking the bear, but like, really, is this going to happen? This article made me just sit back and wonder if they can just make a change like this fast. Why aren't we talking about cannabis more in our medical arena? And this is Manndie, aka Carmen Sacramento from High at 9. What do you guys think?
They're still not teaching doctors about that in medical school. So and a lot of doctors are afraid. Was it that study came out? Was it right out of Michigan? Was it last week or the week before that doctors in Michigan are afraid of even bringing up the endocannabinoid system or even talking about cannabis because they're not properly trained on it.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That is a fair point. But I think this telemedicine thing is fantastic. I mean, there's a number of patients that get their recommendations through telemedicine, and so I'm all for this. Whatever helps patients, especially for people that live in rural areas, that is difficult to travel to metropolis areas in order to see these types of doctors or get this type of care. I think it's one of the best things going, and it's a good use of technology that we're using it in this way.
Right. And before the telehealth revolution of COVID-19, I had my medical card through HelloMD, and it was pretty much a telehealth a meeting with my doctor. And I got him on the phone, or was it like FaceTime or whatever, for like 5 minutes. Told him my ailments and got my shit renewed. So
you told him
the biggest thing here is that these medications that they're talking about, I mean, look, they're talking about opioids. They're talking about, I mean, these are highly controlled medications. My kids both have been on ADHD medications, and we have to go to the doctor every month. Every month I got to walk in there. They got to take their blood pressure. They got to weigh them. They got to ask them if there's any side effects. And then we would get the prescription refill. And the last, since COVID, we've been blessed with not having to go in and do all of that. But think about it, guys. These medications you can OD on, right? And the medical system and the government is sitting back and going, we don't really have to manage these so hard. But yet, again, there's this cannabis medication over here that they're just denying. Left and right.
Yeah, and you know what? Jesse Barney brings up a good point. He's like, how can you call yourself a doctor and not know about an entire system that exists in the body?
Unwillingly ignore its existence.
Yeah, I'm not. I think that's a fantastic point. In regards to this, it's just man.
When you guys, I know this is probably lame and it's overkill, but I love poking the bear. So oftentimes when I go into a new physician, I actually take some kind of printout about the ECS and ask them if they know. And if they don't.
How's that lame?
Usually a little raw.
Oh.
And so, but listen, it provokes great conversation.
Yeah, we need sandpaper to smooth that thing on out, right?
Listen, sometimes you just got to shake shit up and be the most interesting person in the doctor's office.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, mama.
And then do you become their favorite patient?
Pretty much.
Always.
After that, it just makes them laugh.
Exactly. Exactly. Again, this is a big thing, but I do think too that there is a big epidemic that is happening where there are a large number of children that are being misdiagnosed in regards with ADHD because they have recently lowered the threshold of what would be qualifying conditions for diagnoses, especially of kids in regards with diagnosing them with ADHD.
Could you repeat that, Jason?
So they have lowered the threshold. There was a number of years ago where, in order to be diagnosed with ADHD, you had to admit X, Y, and Z, and now they have lowered that standard to where it is a lot easier for doctors to be able to diagnose children with ADHD, and so that's what I'm saying. So there is a catch-22 to this, is by making it more accessible. But they also lowered the standards to where a lot of people can be more misdiagnosed, I would say. And not necessarily by intention, but just how the system is set up as far as the rules go and the certain types of parameters that need to be met in order for them to give these different diagnoses.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And as an ADHD sufferer myself, it's like they're dealing with this shortage right now, and I can't get my fucking meds because too many people are getting prescribed that shit.
Yeah, Adderall has been on a short
wait list. That's why I'm all scatterbrained and shit over here. Like, you have me going on a rant over here. Because
is that what you're blaming it on now?
I'm blaming it on you. I'm blaming everything on you. I'm blaming everything on you.
I mean, everybody else does. I mean, so it ain't going to change anything.
No, but there's a big shortage because of that kind of BS. And so yes, you are 100% correct. It is a double-edged sword when it comes to stuff like that. But if you have a history of successfully using something like that, and that's your way of actually functioning as a regular everyday person, like, you're log jamming the system.
You know, interesting comment in Clubhouse. Stacy Knox is saying kids born in August are misdiagnosed, but really they are the youngest in the grade and most likely to disrupt the class. And so higher rates of ADHD on kids, if they are born in August, is an actual fact, she's saying.
Huh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that, but that I could see that being a correlation.
I wonder if that works for babies born in July too. Close to August. They still would be pretty young in the class.
Interesting.
That's very.
I don't know. I mean, also there's the diagnostic criteria has just gotten better over the years, so it's easier to point these sorts of things out and get down to, how to treat them. And ADHD is one of those things where you can actually treat it almost in 24 hours with a medication, and that's more of a definitive way of telling whether or not someone has it. Is to give them the medication, and if it helps, then definitively what you're dealing with most of the time.
Yeah, there's an absolute noted difference in people who actually need it, and I was so against that shit for so long, but it regulates.
It was really hard for me when my son would hit second grade. His IQ was above average, but he was not reading at all. He just wasn't doing it. And we ended up putting him on medication, unfortunately, around the third grade, but he went from being the worst performing reader in the class to the top performing reader within a month.
Right.
It was the craziest thing the teacher had ever seen.
Maybe he was just smart enough to not have to read all the bullshit.
No,
but then I was on Ritalin when I was younger. Whatever happened to Ritalin, by the way? But I was on Ritalin when I was younger, and I had to stop taking it.
Isn't that like legal meth?
Adderall is too, pretty much.
I mean, Adderall is too. They're all amphetamines.
All right.
Anyway.
I had to get off of it because it was a quote unquote performance enhancing drug when I went in to play college football.
Makes you move faster. Makes you
no way.
It helps you focus.
Backpedal. It helps with your back pedal, Rico.
Oh, Big Ten.
That's
all Big Ten
crazy.
defensive back, baby. No, it helps you focus with that. But it was also a appetite suppressant too. So I got big as fuck, and my focus was not there. And after college, it helped you in some ways and it hurt you in other ways. So was that
Zaza Simone Brown up in Clubhouse has something to say about this.
What you got, Zaza?
Go ahead, Zaza.
Curious as to whether a doctor. I'm just curious as to whether a doctor diagnosed you as ADHD or if the teacher had that opinion, because I have two sons who were labeled ADHD, and both of them were brilliant, and neither of them were ADHD. It was the schools, or the system that allows the schools or the teachers to say that your child is ADHD because of certain behaviors. But we have to understand that if you have small children that are just home with their parents all day, and children are running and playing and doing all of those things, and then you put them in school, which is a totally different setting, of course they're going to have certain behaviors that look like all different types of things, because now you're having a small child that has to sit in a seat for 6 to 8 hours a day, which they've never done before. So now you got a whole different set of programming that you have to do with these children. But a lot of these children are not ADHD. The teachers just don't want to do the work and be patient and teach these children and have enough patience and knowledge about these things, because teachers are not medical professionals. So
Correct.
I have a problem with teachers even suggesting to parents to have their child tested for ADHD and different things like that, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. All they know is about the garbage that they read in those textbooks, which a lot of us already know. A lot of that is BS.
It
So
is.
I'm just curious as to whether a teacher diagnosed your child, your school nurse diagnosed your child, or if
With me it was actual doctor.
had
I
ADHD.
yeah.
They just want to put these kids on medication,
Yep.
mostly
Yeah.
black and black children on medication, and subdue them and turn them into zombies.
Yep.
Because I am convinced that these zombies that's walking around, like the zombie apocalypse and all this stuff that people talk about, the zombies are us. They are us, medicated to a point of being a zombie because somebody labeled you as something, and it's really really not what it is. So now my sons are adults, and they have side effects and symptoms from the medication that I allowed these doctors to give them, because they had labeled them ADHD and bipolar and all this other stuff. So
Right.
I'm just curious, and I know the same.
It's a fine line. With me, it was a doctor. Is lack of focus, and big lack of focus, inability to finish like pretty much any of my assignments, and it was early high school when I was diagnosed, and it actually helped me excel. I ended up being a straight A student like after that, but before that, I could not focus on absolutely anything. I was like energy levels are just like through the roof. Couldn't focus. Couldn't keep my mind just like on one subject. Period. Couldn't make up my mind, and it was just night and day when I got on Ritalin. When I got off it in college, there's loopholes and stuff that you can push through, and you can get through college. You can bullshit your way through college, but in the real world, it was the same thing. Like after college, real world, couldn't focus on nothing, and I went about 10 years without doing any medication. Besides the opioids that I was taking, that was from pain medicines. And I got back on Adderall, I want to say 7 years ago, and I was able to get that focus back, and I did not believe in it. And that's like the only medication that I have been on since then.
Did you change it
What's that?
before you started medication? Because usually medication is the first thing that they offer to you. Nobody says, oh, maybe it's in something that you're eating, or maybe it's in, any other thing before they put you on this medication.
Yeah, the doctors definitely
Yeah, they're pushing pills.
they come there with a pill in mind. That's the quickest fix, right? There's not a lot of doctors that get rewarded for holding a patient's hand through every step of sorting through, the issue, right? And managing someone's diet very closely is not easy to do.
Right.
But Zaza, to go and answer your question, my kids were diagnosed by a series of people who assess them: their physician, the school psychologist, our family a chiropractor who actually has an extensive background with ADHD patients. We saw so many different people because I was looking for what this could possibly be for him. And also I am a former counselor and mental health therapist, and it was just kind of undeniable.
Yeah, and I'm all for alternatives to that. And I tried absolutely every alternative under the sun, and it did not work. So
Yep.
y'all motherfuckers need to quit using it if you don't need it, because I need my shit.
We gotta go to a commercial, you guys. We're gonna be right back. But this is exactly what I was talking about. Them lowering the threshold.
Keeping up to date on the evolving policies of relevant state, local, and federal governments is key to success. When the future of your business is at stake, you need representation as dedicated as you are. With a maze of laws and regulations surrounding cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics, knowing where to begin can be a challenge. Good thing the law offices of Omar Figueroa features a skilled, highly focused team ready to guide you through it all. They're accepting new clients in California and New York. So make sure you check them out at info@omarfigueroa.com.
Oh yeah, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you pound that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, too, while you're at it, why don't you go and check out our website, www.highat9news.com, for all of this amazing merch, though you can be styling and profiling just like us. Oh yeah. And also at the same time too, we also want to remind everyone we really appreciate all of those super chats. And if you want us to actually acknowledge your comments, that is the best way, is to make it a super chat, and you will get that acknowledgement that you seek. Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Up next, this Fresno-based raptivist and strong, sane Black conservative voice is exactly what America needs after last night's wretched display of what the Republican Party is pushing forward. Y'all know who it is. Coming up next, Nickolas Wildstar.
Thank you, Rico. A current San Francisco supervisor and 2024 candidate for mayor is looking to limit the number of cannabis businesses by banning all new dispensary applications. County Supervisor Asha Safai proposed a new moratorium at the Board of Supervisors meeting Tuesday, citing safety and community concerns. Let's be clear, we have no shortage of cannabis retail storefronts, and many are suffering because of brazen break-ins, public safety concerns, and an unregulated market that is not facing proper enforcement, Safai said in a statement announcing the proposal. He urged City Hall to focus on processing existing equity applications. Currently, there are about 30 cannabis dispensaries with storefronts in San Francisco, as well as another 30 medical cannabis stores. A number of other applications are pending with the Office of Cannabis and will not be impacted by the proposed ban. In pushing for a halt to new dispensaries, Safai's office noted the implementation of 2016's Prop 64, in which California voters permitted the recreational use of cannabis, takes place at the local level. Safai's action is an apparent move to appeal to the large demographic of Chinese Americans as he prepares to run for mayor against incumbent London Breed in 2024. Many Chinese Americans, especially immigrants, have long protested the cannabis industry in the city, with Chinatown designated a dispensary-free zone. Recently, despite an outpouring of opposition from neighboring businesses and residents, San Francisco supervisors approved a cannabis dispensary in the Sunset District. Last month, the board voted 9-2 to allow it, with Safai voting with the majority, proving that he's just another politician that says one thing but does another. In general, however, Safai has been a moderate voice on cannabis issues since 2017, when the city grappled with recreational legalization. As the representative of the Excelsior and other southern neighborhoods, he proposed allowing only 3 dispensaries in his district, but that measure failed to pass. He also fought to push dispensaries to install security gates as a burglary deterrent, again, costing businesses more money. If passed, the ban would be permanent, and there is no expiration date. It's expected to have its first hearing on May 25th with the Public Safety and Neighborhood Services Committee. This is Nick Wildstar, a.k.a. the governor, reporting for the High at 9 News Hour. Y'all better speak up now or forever hold your peace.
This is the most blatant example of pandering ever in the history of pandering from a candidate. He was pro-cannabis just last year, and now he's doing this simply to go against his opponent to pander to the Chinese community, who he's trying to get the vote.
Ed Lee 2.0.
Get that money.
Is this Ed Lee 2.0 for San Francisco? Ed Lee.
Ed Lee, I wasn't following Ed Lee in the past.
Okay, so Ed Lee was a board of supervisor in San Francisco, Chinese politician for a number of years in San Francisco, and he ended up becoming the mayor for a while as well. And then he had a whole big old corruption case around a whole bunch of corruption, and boom, and now he's gone.
Well, yeah. This dude, I was reading about this guy too, man. Like literally the total 180 from his position last year, like simply to go against London Breed, and it's because the Chinese community has been staunchly against the expansion of cannabis dispensaries in their neighborhoods, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go with them and go ahead and get these votes. So
a flip flopper, just
a whole bunch of votes out there to collect, and I'm going to collect them all
of them. There's a vacuum, right? It's like Donald Trump on the weed, right? He's like, polling very well. It's polling very well, so I think we're going to look into it.
We've been polling very well, but we've been using very extensive messaging.
Now remember, guys, he's a county supervisor right now. He's on the board of supervisors, so he can make this happen already as a board of supervisor. He doesn't need to be mayor.
Yeah, so, that's correct. That's correct. This is total political grandstanding. You're 100%.
You get a bigger paycheck as the mayor, though, man. You get a bigger paycheck. You get bigger power. Like, come on, man. Like, he's going for that mayor position.
How San Francisco works? The mayor, you're basically like the chairman of the board.
Right. Basically. This dude was smoking a joint right before he made the announcement.
I mean, fuck weed. I mean, in all fairness, everybody smokes weed at City Hall in San Francisco. I mean, it's a very well-known thing that you go into the bathroom to go smoke on your break in City Hall. Like, that's a very well-known thing.
Is it really?
I smoked in the bathroom in City Hall in San Francisco before, and that was way back when I was in San Francisco.
They need to bring those kind of policies down here to LA, man.
I like that policy.
Yep.
Yeah, reparations in Sacramento, though, right?
Oh God, we're not even going to touch that one. But your boy backpedaled on that too. I saw Nickolas posting some posts in regards to
Gavin.
Yep, Gavin backpedaling on that.
He be my boy, man. Little Pat Riley looking ass, man. That ain't my boy.
We got a commercial to go to.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yeah. We got the dope dad himself. We got a second story from the dope dad who loves to backpedal, and hopefully he doesn't slip up. What do you got, dope dad?
Ciao, please. So my second story today is coming out of the Empire State. So New York's medical cannabis operators could switch to adult use by the year's end. Surprise, surprise. A plot twist again. Traptastic New York City. So New York's 10 medical cannabis licensees, commonly referred to as registered organizations or ROs. They are all MSOs too. and they're the ones that can pay the bills. So this might be a way that they can sidestep all these lawsuits that Kathy Hochul is getting from them, because they can't go, according to legislation right now, they have to wait in line behind all of the social equity applicants that they have not given licenses to. So it looks like by the year end, they're going to be allowing them to transition over to adult use as well. Per the article, Jeremy Unruh, Senior VP of Regulatory Public Affairs of Chicago-based multi-state operator PharmaCann and one of New York's 10 ROs, told Cannabis Business Times that the company has spent a long time building out and developing its medical cannabis infrastructure since winning its medical license in New York in 2015. The challenge is that the state legalized cannabis for adult use more than 2 years ago, and at the anniversary of that legalization effort, which is the end of March 31st this year, the only thing they have to show for it is 9 dispensaries open in the state of 22 million people. Millions and millions and millions of dollars of tax revenue are not being recouped because of the 1,400 to 1,500 illicit commercial operators that are proliferating in New York State. They have millions, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars worth of conditional cultivator product that is literally wasting in warehouses right now because there are no retail outlets. Can I get an air horn on that, Jason? They are big mad. As part of that plan, CAURD licenses were to be given 3 years. 3 years to find equal footing in the market before larger companies that currently serve as the state's medical cannabis program would be allowed to expand their dispensaries to adult use. The 3-year provision was approved by the CCB in November, but is one of the revisions to be reduced to 1 year in the most recent proposal. So I'm gonna wrap it up right there. What do you think about this? Y'all talking about me flip-flopping some stuff right here. That was a quick about face, and I think it's just all to save, not just to save face, but also to save their asses on these lawsuits that are becoming from these large companies that can't be in the adult use space. And this is going to completely push out the people that have been waiting for those licenses in the social equity network. What do you think?
It's never going to push them out. Stop it, Rico. They've already been pushed out by the trap market. Stop it.
They've been pushed out by capitalism because nobody can afford it. And so, like I said, this is why we should be talking about reparations and not social equity so much if you want to make it a black and white issue. This is not a racial issue anymore. Like it was, but it is no longer a racial issue. If just as many white businesses are failing as the black businesses, it's no longer racial, man. It's just economics. And you can't afford that. The barrier of entry into this is way too high. Period.
Nobody can sustain a runway of operating a business for 2 years without being able to turn on the switches and get it going. Like, and when I say running, I mean the whole building time, right? Like while you're waiting for your business to become operable, you have construction, you've got staff training, you have SOPs, you've got licensing and
inflation.
And you're paying rent on your building all of this time and not able to make $1. It's a nightmare. Who can sustain this?
The trap.
Hold on.
There are no recessions.
So now, after all this, they're going to allow the MSOs to go adult use. And in all fairness, if Kathy Hochul wants to say, hey, we want to get these stores open, that is the fastest way to get these stores open, is to let the other stores that are already open participate in the market. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to go from like 4 to like 12 in the entire state. So great job, New York.
Yeah, such a great point. But I think that it's going to open the door to more MSOs, not just the ones that were medical. I think it's going to open the door, and they're like, oh, well, these guys are good at doing business. We're going to let them in too.
No, not without their
right after them.
Social equity applicant tagging along. They're not going to be able to do that.
I think the whole rollout was botched, and I know Gretchen's not on here to defend her homegirl Kathy Hochul on this one, but I think the New York experiment was good-hearted in the beginning. I think it was, it might have worked a little better had they not put a timeline on it, and she wouldn't have been under as much scrutiny. And if we weren't in a hyperinflationary period, you would be able to see the differences in how Yeah, and how things rolled out. But the fact of the matter is everybody's hurting right now. The price of product is down. The price of operating is up. The cost, the barrier to entry is up. So very, very, very few winners in this market on the legal side.
Very, very, very true. Very true. Not a lot of winners, but you know who's going to win?
The trap. Always.
The freedom market is
the freedom market always wins.
Oh yeah, the freedom market's going to win. That's right. I see that, Nick. Yeah, pumping it up for the freedom market, baby. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna hop into my last story for you. All right. So here you guys go. The U.S. cannabis industry's $100 billion economic impact varies by state. Medical and adult use cannabis markets continue to have a growing impact on the broader U.S. economy, but the state level differs based on each market size, maturity, and type. And while highly populated states with bigger markets have a larger dollar amount of economic impact, some smaller, less populated states are generating more impact per person. The total U.S. economic impact report from marijuana sales in 2023 is expected to reach $100 billion with a B dollars, up more than 12% from last year, according to analysis from the recently published MJ Biz Fact Book. For California, by far the largest cannabis market in the U.S. and by sales and population, the economic impact from marijuana sales can amount to $17.7 billion with a B pumped into the state's economy in 2023. By contrast, marijuana's contribution to sparsely populated adult use and medical markets is much less, but not insignificant. Mississippi, which kicked off marijuana sales in January, could expect a $30 million boost by the end of the year. And if we consider the total population of a state, some benefit more than others. California's cannabis market might have the largest total impact, but other states deliver a more on a per capita basis. Alaska, for example, will deliver roughly $1,431 of economic impact per person this year, and marijuana markets in Colorado, Massachusetts, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, and New Mexico will each pump almost $800 per resident into their respective states. California, which creates almost 3 times the dollar amount of impact in Colorado, will contribute a little more than $450 of economic impact per person. And economic impact comes from different sources, direct and indirect. Marijuana jobs provide workers with income to spend on necessities such as food, lodging, transportation, entertainment, and more. And you know what that more means. Cannabis business, consumers, and patients also pay hundreds of millions of dollars in state and local taxes and are used to fund local government activities, including schools and roads. State real estate markets also receive a boost from retail, manufacturing, and agricultural businesses moving into an area of established companies, expanding, increasing broader demand for commercial properties. Cultivating marijuana can require large investments in equipment and technology that boost not only the local economy, but also areas throughout the United States. That list goes on. The marijuana industry's unique structure, which encompasses agriculture, manufacturing, and retail, in addition to ancillary businesses such as lighting supplies and legal services, makes these projections a best guess. The economic impact of the marijuana industry is not the same as supply chain revenues that are often used to estimate the total size of an industry. Rather, the economic multiplier paints a picture of the impact of the industry has on the broader economy. In this case, for every $1 consumers and patients spend at retail locations, an additional $2 will be injected into the economy, much of it at the local level. Using the same standard multiplier of 2 can also offer insight into the local dollar impact from sales of adult use or medical cannabis. To be sure, using the multiplier method for local impact analysis isn't perfect, and state regulations and taxes, along with the other market variations, can drastically increase or reduce the dollar amount marijuana sales put into the economy. While it might be hard to adjust for those disparities, the estimates give us a good look at how the industry is contributing to the overall economic picture. Take that, Joe Biden. This is Jason Beck for High at 9 News.
I don't know why you're just so anti-Joe Biden, man.
He's always wasting all the money, bro.
Just like every damn politician.
I know, all of them do.
Oh, he wastes more. He wastes more. I could have said
Joe Biden.
I could have said Nancy Pelosi. I probably should have said Nancy Pelosi because 40% of our overall economic debt in this country happened while she was the Speaker of the House.
And she's made $300 million.
How about how much money is being wasted on Feinstein? She needs to go.
I agree.
How many votes are being lost on Feinstein?
I think it's all because of the last name.
It's the gerontocracy. We're being ruled by old people. The hell is going on, people?
Hey, no need to be ageist here. No need to be ageist. Come on
Ain't
now.
got nothing to do with being ageist. Look at
it's interesting. Oh, sorry,
gerontocracy. Look it up.
It's true.
I actually appreciated the article and what breakdown when it showed like kind of like per person, per resident breakdown. That was very intriguing to me. I've never actually heard those kind of metrics before. But that was really eye-opening to see what different states is equating to. That's exciting news.
I thought it was fantastically interesting, especially when they broke it down in that capacity. And then the $2 for every $1, $2 is put into the economy from every cannabis sale through other types of resources and businesses that help assist everyone in the cannabis space. But I thought it was fascinating.
Cannabis, everybody benefits, right?
Right,
including everybody,
even the
most connected plant on earth. Like,
yes, it is. It's communal. Everybody benefits from it, and that's why we got to keep on doing what we do and then screaming from the mountaintops, man. This affects everybody, brings everybody together. It's so communal, whether you're on the business side, the wellness side, or on the lifestyle side. And I thank you all out there for tuning in with us for another episode of High 9 News. You can always catch us weekdays 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our super fans showing love and support and getting their thoughts and comments projected on the big screen, to our live audience members and online supporters across all platforms, tuning in and giving us feedback on the daily headlines of chaos. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety perspective of your respected opinions to the conversation. To our production team, Cloud Media Partners, House of Fuego, and the wonderful Jaja Simone, who came in with a comment today. Thank you, Jaja, always coming through there. And all of our sponsors too. Smoky Vanilla, I'll let your boy, man. I got a little something in the back right there. You know what I'm saying? And always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason that the High at 9 News team shows up and read these headlines daily. We love you. It is Thursday, May 11th, 2023. The show is over. You've been blessed with today's top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. Nickolas Wildstar, what you got for us today, man? You got the outro. Give us a little heat.
Don't forget, government corruption ruins everything. We, the people, need to live free, and that's what it's all about. We got to stand up now. We got to speak out, especially in San Francisco. Y'all got a board of supervisors that's about to kill all of the growth of businesses. Stand up.